What are the downsides of being the popular kid in high school? My friendship with Owen was evidence that boy-girl friendships don't work, but not for the reason you're thinking. Our friendship started when we were 14. He was the wild card, the type to validate any bad decision you made. And since we lived in Ireland, where the socially acceptable drinking age is 12, he was dangerous. Except I didn't see it that way. Back then, all I knew was that he was fun to be around, and he just got me. Plus, we had practically built an empire together, because he had like 15 male friends, and I had almost 25 female friends, so we'd both be invited to literally everything. So in the summer before senior year, we were practically the king and queen of people our age in Dublin, until Owen took it too far. You see, he had a crush on this girl called Zoe, and I could see why. She was Eastern European, and was practically the beauty standard. So, like any good friend, I tried many times to set them up together. But, well, let's just say she was not picking up what Owen was putting down. But Owen kept trying, except not in a creepy way, more like in a puppy chasing its own tail kind of way. So one day in July, me, Owen, and our empire were hanging out around Stephen's Green, one of the biggest shopping centers in Dublin. We were around 17 and it was 77 degrees Fahrenheit, super hot for Ireland. And just like the stereotype, we were all drunk as heck. And that's when I learned just how R-worded Owen really is. Let me paint the picture. It was right after the pandemic. None of us were 18, and we had run out of alcohol. So Owen did what any respectable 17-year-old would do in that situation. He grabbed Zoe's hand sanitizer and started pouring it into his mouth. I tried to grab it from him. He won that battle. Our entire empire was laughing and cheering him on, like it was the funniest thing in the world. In that moment, I realized that, to them, we were nothing more than the party holders. Within minutes, his eyes were rolling to the back of his head. He was staggering around and falling into the outside seating area of the nearby restaurants. I tried to pull him to the side and get him to the recovery position, but I wasn't strong enough to do it alone, and no one wanted to help, until I started shouting at the 6-foot boys with their hands in their pockets. And luckily, we managed to get him to vomit in an alley. My heart was racing while I called the ambulance, but while we waited, he began to regain consciousness. Before I continue, you have to know Owen hates physical contact. Even when our hands accidentally brush against each other, he does a dramatic full-body shiver and his face contorts into disgust. So when his first words after regaining consciousness were him asking me to spoon him, I almost threw up in my mouth a little. But then I thought about his family that, aside from monthly cash payments, abandoned him in Ireland to start a new life in China when he was just 13. So, mostly out of worry and pity, I did it, especially since his skin was getting significantly colder, and I wanted to make sure he survived. After an hour had passed, me and Owen found ourselves still waiting for the paramedics, and by this point, he was using what little energy he had left to push me off him and beg me for a cigarette. I still remember the 17-year-old look of desperation in his eyes, and if I'm being honest, how annoying he was being is what made me finally give in. When he took the first puff, a smile plastered on his face. He looked like a terminal cancer patient being told they're in remission, but halfway in, he was staggering again. I rubbed my temples together and tried to remind myself that his home life was even worse than mine, that he was just trying to cope, until he threw up again, because mixed in with the bile was red, like a lot of red, and the paramedics made it even worse, because when they arrived, they refused to treat him. "I'm not treating another substance addict," one of the ladies said, laughing. Another one just stood there waving at him, "Sayonara, Asian boy," before driving away. Owen started shivering and tears were streaming down my face. I couldn't call my parents because I knew they would injure me and kick me out of my house. What I did next is something I still keep a secret from everyone, including our empire. I can't tell you what happened next in this video. The full story is on my channel.